When it comes to mounting a camera with your built-in mounting bracket on your Ford Bronco, everybody's going to probably do it differently. My needs were that I didn't want it to block the existing screen that I had because I upgraded the interior, so I have a really nice big screen, so I don't need to see any information on my phone. What I wanted to use my phone for was two things. One, to record YouTube videos while I'm driving around, looking at me, or being able to flip the camera and record my journey. So that was the only thing I needed. I didn't need a long camera arm mount. I didn't need any kind of crazy long apparatus that was allowing me to type or manipulate anything on my phone. I have the screen for that, and obviously, to me, that's not the place to do while driving. So the initial setup that I had was this. This is a very, very basic camera mount. Now, all of the camera mounts are going to be this 1/4 inch. They call it a 1/4 inch 20. Which is the kind of default mount that's going to fit in any hole that is mostly related to camera equipment, whether it be recording or adding on microphones or swing arms or external microphones or any of that kind of stuff. It's a very, very common size, and if you just type in 1/4 inch camera mount, you're going to find tons of these. The one I have actually has a swivel on it that allows you to rotate it. It's got a locking nut here to keep the swivel in place. It also has a little set screw right here in the center. You can see the base, and that set screw will allow you to adjust the position. So as you're tightening it down, you can make sure that it locks facing a certain direction. So you basically put a little Allen wrench in there and you can loosen that up, which allows the base to lock into place. It works pretty well. I don't have any issues with it. And then the camera holder I have, nothing fancy, no frills. Again, it's got the 1/4 inch hole there on both sides. Obviously, I'm using one of them. So the camera could be orientated either landscape or kind of the more portrait type view. So typically when I would mount my phone, I would actually mount it like this. So I'd screw this into my dash and I would have my camera facing on this piece towards me. The problem is, because of the lip of the Bronco sits a little too high, my camera would actually lift up a little bit. And I'm going to pause here real quick and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So as you can see here, I have it screwed in. It's locked into place. I adjusted this. Again, I adjusted that bolt there such that I was able to have it facing me. And then I could pull it down and it stayed nice and secure. So while I'm driving, it doesn't take up too much room. There you can see it's not covering any part of my rear view mirror. It's not hanging off. There's no weird cords or anything. It's just nice and easy. And I like that. I'd put my phone on here in this orientation to try to record myself. But you notice the problem is, because of the dash of the Bronco, this piece actually sits a little too high. And what would happen is when I'm recording, the camera is actually aiming up more towards my head, actually the headliner, rather than by me. Now, you could probably alleviate this by trying to find different brackets here. They make a ton of different brackets. Depending on how thick this piece is, again, the mounting screw here being on the end, depending on how thick that piece is, you probably could get away with an adjustment to have it, you know, a little more flush with here, or possibly if you got a little bit longer stem here, you might be able to lift it up a little bit more. The solution I actually came up with is the most no frills solution in the planet. I actually just went on Amazon and I bought this. This is a 1/4 inch male to male screw. That's all it is. There's nothing to it. It's the most boring, basic thing in the planet. And I'm going to use that instead of this whole apparatus. And I'm going to go ahead and set that up. And then I'll explain to you why I think this might be an optimal solution for many of you. All right, so all I did was I screwed in that piece there, and then I put my camera bracket here. Now you can see as I need to extend my camera up, without any issue, I'll be able to do that. Now, I notice when I tighten it as much as I possibly can, it doesn't sit aligned, and that's because, unfortunately, unlike the little bit nicer solution that has that little hole in the center where I can adjust the tightening piece, I'm not able to do that on the cheaper solution. So I'm gonna have to probably get a small washer or something to put in place there so that when I hold it, it's nice and tight. That shouldn't be too hard to do. I have a bunch of loose washers laying around, so I'll probably find something like that. Putting it on and off is just as easy. In this case, actually, the whole thing just unscrewed, which is totally fine, and then it's just back to normal. This is actually a really, really cheap, no frills solution that you may want to consider. I think the key with a lot of the mounting brackets, and I think the key with a lot of the mounting solutions I've seen online, is they become overly complex. Again, for me, my use case was being able to see myself while driving, or being able to look out the front of the car to record road trips or something like that. That was all I cared about. Now, there are a lot of other solutions that really start to dabble into some of the more proprietary brackets and pieces. Like the Bronco ball is a perfect example. Bronco ball is cool. You screw down a ball and it sits on your dash, and then you can attach all these different things to it. I've seen people get really, really crazy and exotic with the things that they mount. I've seen people put Picatinny rails on. I've seen people have multiple brackets with a camera arm hanging off on one side and radios hanging off on others, and that sort of thing. And you could do that too. You don't necessarily need a proprietary mount to do that. The nice thing about this little cheap solution with this little screw that I came up with is that it doesn't really take away from any of the aesthetic of the car, and it's just a very simple solution that is already an industry standard. So when you're looking at some of these other solutions that have mounting arms with different types of cups or different types of brackets or clamps that hang on to them, understand that you're buying into that and you are stuck in that world. Think about if it makes sense that you really need your phone to protrude well beyond the dash. Do you need to have a mounting arm that puts your phone really, really close to you? Do you need to be able to have that kind of control? Probably not. And if you do have a long mounting arm like that, you're most likely going to block part of the screen that you have. And I doubt you'll probably use a lot of the advanced traction controls across the top, with the different differentials and that sort of thing. So you probably won't have to use all those buttons dedicated there, but you're going to be taking away from the screen, and you might be blocking your air vent. So keep that in mind. This isn't a bashing video by any stretch of the imagination against Bronco Ball or some of those other proprietary solutions that allow you to really expand on it with long and kind of tedious mounting arm solutions. But just think about what you want. I mean, this cost me a whopping like $3, and it's fine for me. It can be removed quickly, so if you're putting a sunshade down, you don't have to have that thing sticking out all the time, which is really, really nice. And then additionally, on top of all of that, you can go back to just not having anything. If you just decide, you know what, I'm not really feeling this anymore, you could just remove the whole solution and you're just back to stock, which I think is probably where a lot of people want to end up. Yes, it's fun to do some of the crazy modifications and it's crazy to add on to it, but the reality is, at the end of the day, Ford built a really pretty vehicle, and you don't have to do an awful lot to it to make it great, because they've already done all that for you. That wraps up my video today. Just wanted to do a quick little guide, a little discussion on some of the camera stuff I've seen. I've been doing a lot of research on this, and I am always floored by how wild and exotic some of these mounting solutions are, and how expensive they get. So I wanted to say, hey, listen, sometimes keeping it simple is the best way to do it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.